Okay, so I'm going to show you then how to make the first part, which will be the coaster. For this tutorial, I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook because I'm using some DK weight yarn, which is a 3 weight. And I've also got a pair of scissors and some darning needles, and all of the things that I'm using here you can find in the description box below in my shop. So I'm going to start this project with a magic ring or a magic loop, magic circle. I've heard it called so many things. Now the way I do mine is very, very simple, and I leave a nice long tail. Always leave a nice long tail for sewing anything in. So we just make a loop, simple as that, pop the hook in and bring the yarn through. I'll show you again because that went a bit funny. Make a loop, put the hook in and bring the yarn through, and just do 1 chain. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my very first stitch a stack, and that is a stacked single crochet or a stacked double crochet in the UK. So how I do that is I insert my hook and I pull up a loop, so I have 2, yarn over and pull through both of those, just like a normal single or UK double. And then this little loop on the side there, I'm going to insert my hook into there, yarn over and pull up a loop, so I have 2 on my hook, yarn over and pull through both of those. So that gets me up to the correct height for the stitch, and also gives me 2 loops of my first stitch to go into. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put a further 15 UK treble crochets, which are doubles in the US, into this ring, working over the tail. So I'm just assuming that you know how to do these stitches. I do have a total absolute beginners course, which if I can remember, I will put a link to at the end or into the description box. So I have a total of 4. I'm going to pause the video and I will come back to you once I have done them. The only reason I'm pausing it is I'll lose count if I'm talking, and it's a bit boring to just watch me do all of those without sound. Okay, so I'm just hooked my yarn. Bear with me a second. Tangled up. We're just going to go into our very first one. So there you go. At the top of the stack, we have our nice 2 loops to go into. I'm just going to join with a slip stitch. Okay, and I'm going to pull that closed a little. I mean, I'm not going to worry too much about it, because it probably will work its way undone again in any case. So I'm going to do 1 chain and I'm going to pull that really down low. I don't want that to be confused with a stitch. And in the same space, I'm going to do a UK double crochet, which is a single crochet in the US. And into the next one, I'm going to make a UK half treble, which is a half double in the US. If I can get the yarn through. And 2 UK trebles, just as before. And in the next stitch, I'm just going to do 2 double trebles, okay? So in the US, they're called trebles, and we just yarn round twice before we pull up our loop, and then we pull through 2, through 2, and through 2. And I'm going to do that in this stitch and the next stitch. Okay, if you wonder why I pause it, it's because I've just got to watch what I'm doing. I've written the stitches down, and so in this we're going to mirror what we're doing around here. So in this next stitch, we're going to do 2 UK treble crochets or doubles, and then 1 half treble, and then in the next stitch a UK double or US single. So we've got this kind of curved Okay, so in the next one, we're going to do a half, I'm going to use UK terms, but I've told you the American. I'm going to use a half treble and a treble crochet. And then in the next one, a treble and a double treble. So this is different to the previous one, the previous curve, what do you want to call it. Okay, I'm just ticking these off as I go because they are all different. So in the next stitch, I'm going to do a double treble and a treble, so that one in reverse. And then in the next one, a treble and a half treble. And in the next one, we're just going to put a double crochet. So we have our curves appearing, and now we're going to do the same one as this again. So a half treble and 2 trebles in this next stitch. So we have one that is slightly different. Right, I'm just going to tick these off as I do them. And in the next one, we're going to do 2 double trebles. And again in the next one. And in the next one, 2 trebles and the half treble. So we're coming back down as we did here. So it's 2 UK trebles and 1/2 treble. And then in the next one, a single US double crochet UK. And then we're going to slip stitch into our first one. Okay, and we're going to end off this colour. So I'll do a chain to cinch down and leave a nice long tail and pull that out. So we now have the start of our pad at the bottom, and I've lost my one to show you. Here it is. So yeah, we've got this part. Okay, so now I'm going to change colour. Bear with me a second, I'm just going to put it on pause while I bring my new colour. Okay, so where I've ended off, I don't normally like to join in the same space, but I think we got to on this occasion. I'm just going to bring in my contrast colour, which is this cream. And in my first stitch, I'm going to make an increase, I think, but I need to do 1 chain first and cinch it right down just to make sure that I'm in the right space. So I'm going to do a 1 and 2 in that same space. And I just need to tick these off as I've done them. And in the next stitch, I'm going to, in the next 2 stitches, I'm going to just put 1. I'm going to work over that tail there just to get rid of it. Got so many tails, and I always work over them when I can. And over the next 5 stitches, what we're going to do is increase. So we're going to put 2 in each one. Where's that bit of fluff come from? Oh well, just the yarn. It's just a scrap yarn. Oops. It's because I was looking at my pad and not what I was doing. I think now in the next 2 stitches, we're just going to put 1. Okay, so let's tick those off. Excuse me. Now, over these next three stitches, three stitches, we're going to do a double crochet 3 together, or obviously single crochet 3 together. So we're going to go in. I won't work over this. I'm going to cut that off now that I've worked over it a bit, and we'll get rid of it and it won't be confusing anybody. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and into the next stitch and pull up a loop. And we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops, and we have now put those 3 stitches together. So over the next 6 stitches around this curve, we're going to increase in each stitch. So just the same as before, doing 2 in each. So what I'm going to do is, that's a little boring and I will lose count if I do it out loud. I'll annoy you. So I'm going to just do that in the next 6 stitches. So I've done 1, I'm going to do 5 more with an increase, and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've increased all the way around that curve, and now, just as I did here, I am going to put those 3 stitches together. So I'm going to double crochet 3 together, or single crochet 3 together. There we are. So we're kind of making that at the end of our curve. And now over the next 2 stitches, we're just going to put 1 in each. And now we're back at a curve again. And so we are, excuse me, I'm going to do, over the next 5 stitches, I'm going to increase 1. So I'm going to put an increase in the next 5, just the same as I did around here. So we'll go 1, 2, and again I'll pause it and I'll come back to you once I have done the rest of those. Okay, so I finished my 5. I'm going to just do 1 in the next 3. And now I'm just going to slip stitch into my first one to join. And now we just need to end off this colour. And we're finished at the moment with that colour. So this is how it's looking. Again, we have now done this part. Okay, so I'm going to have to bring back in the original colour yarn. So while I'm setting that up, I'm just going to pause the video and I will come back to you. Okay, so with our work looking like this, we need to find this join here, this treble 3 together, sorry, double 3 together, where we did that. So that's where we need, this is where we need to kind of join, and we're going to count back 3. So there's our 1, 2, and this is where we're going to join. Okay, so we're looking for the one on this side, because this side was slightly different. So it's definitely this side that we need. And you have your double 3 together followed by an increase. Okay, so we're going to join our previous colour to that stitch. I chose yarn that splits very nicely, don't I, really? There we go. So we're just going to bring that in. Okay, so we're going to make, I'm going to do the stack stitch again, as I did at the beginning, which is just to get me up to the right height, and it also gives me the 2 loops of the stitch. So what I did while I was paused was I actually got rid of one of my tails because I didn't want it to get confusing for you. So now you can chain 2 there if you wish, but I'm going to put in the same stitch 2 UK trebles or US double crochets in that same spot. Okay, so again, I need to cut these off as I do it, tick them off, sorry. In the next stitch, I need to put, working over this tail this time, 3 trebles into the next stitch. Okay, so now we're going to skip 3 stitches. I'll just drop that tail now. 1, 2, 3. And in the next stitch, we're going to put 3 trebles. So there's 1, 2, 3 into this stitch. And 3 in the next stitch. Okay. Okay, so we're going to now skip 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the 5th one, we're going to put 3 in the next stitch. And again 3 in the next stitch. Now we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th, we're going to put 3. And in the next stitch, you guessed it, we're going to put 3. Oops. Excuse me. Okay, so now we've completed this row and we're going to turn our work. Okay, so we're going to turn our work and we're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and in the 3rd one we're going to put 3 UK trebles or US doubles. 1, 2, 3. So there we go. We're now making the other side. Whoops. The other side of the pad. I've got too big a loop there. Hang on. I didn't go according to plan. And 3 in the next stitch. So we're kind of making that circular. And now what we need to do is go into this space here and do a slip stitch. And we're going to skip the 2, and in the middle stitches again, we're going to put 3 and 3. And again, slip stitch into our space. Into our 2 middle stitches again, 3 and 3. And we're going to do that in each of our little pads of our foot. Paw. Foot. It's a paw. A slip stitch again. Skip 2. And last one. Okay, so now we need to find our top of our stack, which is why I like it so much, because it's so easy to find. And we slip stitch into there, and now we're going to end off this collar. And this is how it's looking. So here we are. We've now done this bit. So obviously we're going to bring in our contrast colour again, and while I do that, I'm just going to pause the video and I will come back to you once I've done that. Okay, so now this is what it looks like, and we are back working at the front of our work, and we're going to join here at this very where we're joined, where the new pads are joined, if you know what I mean. So we're going to bring in our new colour, or the old colour, excuse me, and, oh, too many tails. I'm not a fan of tails. So what we're going to do then is we are going to, along this starting part, we are going to make 2 stitches. So we're going to just do UK double crochets or single in the US. So we're going to do 2 up that stitch. Now we're at the top. Okay, so we are going to do 1 in the very top stitch. Okay, and bear with me a second, I'm just trying to read my note. Okay, so what we're going to do in the next one, and I'm going to work over that tail at the same time, is 1 more on its own, and in the next two stitches we're going to increase. So we're going to put 2 in the next one and 2 in the next one. Oops, that was nearly wrong, wasn't it? And then we're going to do 2 on their own. I'm going to get rid of that now because I find those tails just get in the way when I'm trying to show you. Bear with me a second, I've just got a knock at the door, probably the post. Okay, so you have a choice to make now. We just need to put a stitch in to this row. So traditionally you might want to do this, but I'm not really keen on this kind of elongated loops. So I've decided that I'm going to do a double treble, and then I'm going to go into this stitch here, and I've got to get rid of that tail, out the other side. So kind of like it's like a front post, but it's not so much because it's not a post. We're going in the stitch and out through the next one, and I'm going to pull up my loop. I'm going to pull it a little way, and then I'm going to pull through 2, through 2, and through 2. So it gives me what looks like a stitch rather than just a big long ugly loop. Okay, so now I'm going to do 1 in the next 2, and then I'm going to increase in the next 2, and 1 in the next 2. And then we're going to do that long stitch again. It's just in one side. It's not plain ball this time. I've gone between it, that's why. Just choose the middle one. Out the other side. Put it up a little way. Through 2, through 2, through 2. It just looks a little neater, I think. And then we're going to do 2 on their own. 2 increased, 2 increased, and then 2 on their own. Again, we're going to do the long stitch, and we're going to go into the next one. Just bear with me a second. Sorry, I had to cough. So again, 2 on their own, 2 to increase, 2 on their own, gets us back, and then just as we did along here, we're going to put 2 going down the side of this stitch, Just try and get it through there. And then we're going to just slip stitch into this stitch down here. Okay, and I'm going to end off because that's one project with far too many tails, I know. But there we go, that's our coaster. Okay, so to start this then, we start with a magic loop, and I'm going to leave a lovely long tail because it's a bit difficult to sew it in. Well, cotton doesn't stretch, so you need a nice long tail. I'm going to show you how I do my magic loop. It's ever so easy. We just make a loop, pop in the hook and bring it through and do a chain, and you've done your magic loop. None of that wrapping around fingers malarkey. Okay, so inside this magic loop and working over the tail, we want 15 UK trebles. 15 is an odd number, but we do need 15. And the first one is going to be my stack. So I'm going to go into the loop and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of them. And in this vertical post, I'm going to just insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of them. I do this because those two loops there become my last stitch, and it's so much easier to sort of get into it. Okay, so now I'm going to make 14 UK treble crochets, which are double crochets in the US. So if I say trebles, you'll know that I mean a US double if you work in US terms. It's important that you kind of know that because we are going to be doing lots of different stitches and they're all called something different. So that's 4. I'm going to pause the video and I will catch up with you once I've done my 15th stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to count them, make sure I've got the right amount. It's going to tug this a little bit because it's a little baggy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and there's my 15th. So that's cool, we've got our 15. Pop my hook back in. I'm just going to give this a little tug. It doesn't have to be completely closed at this stage, but I'm just going to tug it, and I'm going to go through the 2 loops as I said and close with a slip stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how we're going to make it into a star. We're going to chain 4. We don't want them ultra baggy, but we don't want them tight either. So in the back bumps of our stitch, okay, we are going to make, we're going to not go in the first one, we're going to go in the second one. Into the back bumps, we're going to do a UK double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go through the 2 loops. And in the next back bump, we're going to do a UK double treble, which is a half treble, which is half double. Got very confused then. And so we need to go in the back bumps. It's quite important for this. Okay, so there it is. We're just going to pop. Doesn't like to do it when I'm on camera, but it's because I've got a camera in between us. And go through all 3. So that's my half treble. So if I say half treble and you're working in US terms, you'll know it's a half double. Now I'm going to do a UK treble, which of course we all know is a double crochet in the US. So there we are, we've got all our stitches. We're going to skip and go into the 3rd with a slip stitch, and we're going to chain 4. We're going to turn it and find that back bump, and we're going to go and do the same as before. First one is our UK double, second is our UK half treble, and in the 3rd one, our UK treble. And we're going to go skip, slip stitch into the 3rd one. So we're making our points. Okay, now I'm going to do another 3. I'll do the next one with you. Chain 4. Turn it, find that back bump in the previous chain, and in the next back bump, once you've done one, they sit up for you. We're going to do the half treble, and in the last one, the treble. And you can see we're coming out of this stitch, skip, skip, and slip stitch into that one. So there's 3. I'm going to pause it then, and I'm going to do 2 more, catch up with you once I've done them and I'm ready to join it. Okay, so I've done my last one, and I'm going to skip, skip, and in this one here, I'm just going to do my slip stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to do a chain, pull it low, and I'm going to cut this off and pull it through. Okay, so that is how it looks now. We've got our 5 points and we've got these tails. So now I'm going to pull that tight and I'm going to sew them in. Nice and simple. Well, I say that. It's never nice and simple when I'm trying to do it on camera. I'll do this one. Hopefully I won't struggle too badly. It does like to, hey, how about that? So here we are, we're coming out of there. I'm just going to go back into this last bit here. And once I've almost finished that loop, go back through, pull it, that makes a little knot. And now I'm going to just bury this tail. You can do this however you normally would. I mean, you probably all, many of you have different ways of doing this, but that's how I do it. And if you pull it, that little knot disappears and it becomes nice and flat. So just going to feed that through. This is why I liked a nice long tail. When we did our magic loop, it is quite tight going through there. Okay, so that's my last bit. I'm going to snip that off, and the reason that I'm doing this is because at the beginning of making this star, this shield, you will get quite a bit of ends, and they can get in the way, especially during the tutorial. So I'm going to pause it then while I bury this. All I'm going to do is feed it through there and go back round there again. Okay, so now it's going to be hard for me to get back into that back loop there, but I need to try. I need to do it. So I'm going to open it up a little bit here. I'll try anyway. For some reason it does really not like you to get in. Okay, I don't think that was the back loop though. Where am I going to get you? It's there really, isn't it? That bit. Need to open that up a little bit because it is important that you go through the back loops. Otherwise it doesn't look too good. Okay, so there we go. I'm in that back loop. I'm going to show you why I'm going to do this next part. Okay, so when I first made the star, I had all these like artifacts as I looked like sparkling star, looked like little sparks coming off it. Didn't like that at all, wanted it to be clean. So I had various incarnations of that, and I tried it in acrylic as well. This was made with Aran yarn just to see how it would come up. Again, see, there wasn't so much, but it was definitely cotton that was a little bit worse. So I did a little technique and it looked a lot better. My star didn't, but it did. So what I'm going to do now is bring in the blue. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way around our star into the back loops only. And what we're going to do is go in the back loop and slip stitch. Okay, in the back loop and slip stitch. Every single one. Some of them look smaller than others. So they're going up there, then don't forget the top bit. Get in. That's it. And then down the other side, back loop. 1, 2, and 3 down the side. And then 1 in our slip stitch. And then all the way up the top, 1. 2, 3, and in the top. It's careful that you don't actually miss any, so it does throw your stitch count off. That one looks a bit baggy, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, and in the slip stitch. Okay, we're going to do that all the way around, and that will get rid of that. Where have I put you? Where have I put it? There. That will get rid of all this nasty kind of sparking that comes off, all these artifacts that make it look ugly. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go all the way around, and I'll get rid of those tails, and I will catch up with you then. I'm going to pause it, but make sure you do the 1, 2, 3, top 1, 1, 2, 3 in the slip stitch, all in the back loops, and you get this nice ridge that appears all the way around the star. I'll pause it then. I'll catch up with you once I get back to the start. Okay, I'm all the way around, and I'm going to go back into my slip stitch and do a slip stitch. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is a stack. So I'm going to go back in that same, where are we? Back in that same stitch. I want to make sure I'm only going in the back loop. So there we are. Go back in, pull up a loop. We've got 2 on a hook, pull through both. Go in the next vertical bit and go through 2. But I don't want to stop there. I'm going to go into the next one there. So I'm doing my stack 3 high. Okay, so now we're going to be going smaller with our stitches as we go up the star and larger as we go down. Okay, and when we get to this point, it's different. So you do need to watch out. Okay, so we're going to go in the back loops only of our slip stitches, and we're going to do a UK treble crochet in the first one. We're going to do a half treble crochet in the next. Remember, that is a half double in the US. And in the next one, we're going to do a double crochet, which, remember, in the US is a single. And we're going to do 3 of those. 1 in the top, and 1 in the next one. I'm making this into a circle now. So down here, we're going to get larger. So we're going to do a half treble. Sorry if you heard that was my stomach. We're going to do a treble crochet. And now we're at the bottom. We're going to do something slightly different to this beginning. We're going to yarn over twice. We're going to, remember, we're only working in the back loops. We're going to go in and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop there. Go round twice, go into the next one, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got 3 left. Yarn over and pull through all 3 of those. Okay, so now we're going to go back up again and do our treble, our half treble, and our double, and another double. Okay, just bear with me as I've got a parcel coming. So we're just doing 2 there. We did 3 this side, but it was slightly different. So we're going to do our half treble, our treble crochet, and now we're going to do our double treble 2 together. So through 2, and stop. In the next one, through 2, through 2, through 3. And we're going to repeat what we've just done. So we're going to do our UK treble crochet, our half treble crochet, and then we're going to do 2 UK double crochets. And now we're going to work all the way down again with a half treble crochet and a treble crochet, And now we're going to double treble 2 together. Through 2, through 2, round twice again into the next one, through 2 and through 2, through all 3. And we're just going to repeat that up here, and I will catch up with you once we get back to this point here. Once again, I do apologise for the stomach if you heard that. I'll eat something after this. Okay, so I'm almost back. So the only one that was different was this one here. From there, it was just 2 in the top of your stars and the double treble in the bottom. But this one was the first one, so it was a little different. So just finishing off, my last stitch is my treble crochet. And now I'm going to join to the top of the stack. And I'm going to do a chain, cinch it down and end off this colour. Okay, so that's why I got rid of those ends, because this couple of rounds does make ends. Now you do get a little bit of that kind of sparking, but it is at a minimum, and that's really all that matters to me. Is like, I didn't want, there was so much of it, but sometimes you can't be off it when you get like a baggier stitch than others. But that is the star, and we've now made it into a circle. So we're going to be bringing in our red yarn, and we're going to make the outer part, if I can find it, like the outer part of the shield. Okay, so just going to pause it then while I bring in my red yarn and we can get started. Okay, so this time around I am just going to join in the stitch after this one, and I'm going to bring in my red yarn, and you can join this any way you want. I'm going to work over both tails, and I'm going to do 4 UK double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, going through both loops. As you can see, I'm going to give this one a little tug and it will make my end disappear in. So you just, next stitch we're going to do an increase. And we're going to do 4, and in the next one an increase. We're going to do that all the way around, and we want to make sure at the end of this we have a total of 42. So we need to make sure we keep count, and if we need to add one or subtract one, then we do that accordingly. But at the end of this round we want to have 42 stitches. So that's our repeat then. I'm going to pause the video. I will catch up with you when I get back to the start again. Okay, so I've made it all the way around. That's just the knot where I did my joins. If I give it a tug, it will disappear a little bit. And I'm going to slip stitch into my first stitch and end off. So with mine, I didn't do my last increase, and that is exactly 42 stitches. So I'm going to pause the video for a second. I know it didn't work out the way I first planned, because I changed slightly the way I did that star, and that meant that I had a couple of stitches more than it would if I just did 4 and increase, 4 and increase. So my last increase I didn't do, and it all worked out fine. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. So now we're going to bring in the silver again. So I'm just going to pause the video while I do that. And also sometimes when you make a join, it does look like you've got 2 stitches there, but you haven't, you've only got 1, which is a bit nuisance, but never mind. I'm going to bring the silver in then. I'll pause it and I'll come back to you once I've got that. Okay, So now I'm going to bring in my silver, and it doesn't matter if you join it at the same place or not. It doesn't, normally speaking, I only like to work over one at a time, but for some reason this is working out better for me to join at the same space. And this time around, I'm going to just do my, get my stitch. This time around, I'm going to do half trebles. So in my first stitch, I'm going to place 2 in there because that's my increase. I always, if I started with a single stitch, I'll do an increase in my first. If I started with an increase in the previous round, then I'll do 1 in there. So what I'm basically saying is I don't want all my increases in the same place because it becomes like a hexagon. Okay, so this time round we're going to do 5 stitches. And then we're going to do an increase in the next one. So at the end of this round, we will have 49 stitches. Okay, so the next is 5 and then an increase. I'm going to drop that. Easier said than done. And my increase. I'm going to do that all the way around. So I shall pause the video then and I'll get back to you once I get back to the start, and I should end without an increase. And at the end of that, as I said, we should have 49 stitches. Okay, so I've made it all the way around and I'm going to slip stitch into my first stitch and then we're going to go back to the red again. So here we are. I'm going to try and go in the 2 loops there. Okay, I'm going to do my slip stitch rather to end it. Okay, so that's how it's looking now. So what I'm doing is I'm making my red rows a little thinner than these silver ones. So I'm just going to pause it a second while I bring in my new colour and I shall come straight back to you. Okay, so I'm going to join once again the red, and I'm going to do another row of UK double crochets, a nice thin row of reds. I'm going to work over the tail. So that is just my cinched down beginning. And we did start with a increase in the last, so I'm not going to increase this round. And of course, where we did 4, 5, you guessed it, we're going to do 6 now. So that's 1 and 2. If I make that one in the front, you don't see it. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Didn't look like it went in the right part. And then an increase in the next one. I'm going to repeat that all the way around, and at the end of this round we're going to have 56 stitches. Okay, so we're doing 6 and then our increase, and as we started on a single, we'll end on an increase. Okay, so I shall pause the video then and I will catch up with you once I've got all of my UK doubles all the way around. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, and there we've got our Captain America shield perfect coaster. So what I'm going to do is, if I was going to, I'm going to carry on with this tutorial and make a square as well. So this will be the end of the coaster, but I will be carrying on to do the start of a square. So because I'm carrying on, I'm just going to slip stitch into here. But if I weren't, I would go through 2 loops here. I'm just showing you how to end this off Well, I would be showing you if my hook wanted to go through back to front. Excuse me. I would then bring the loop through like that. Just bring it through. It's not going to want to, but there you go. And then I would cut my yarn and with the end feed it through here and sew it in. But obviously I don't want to do that for this particular tutorial because I'm going to carry on and make a square for a separate video. Okay, so I'm just going to end off, cinch that down. Of course you can end off that way if you'd rather, if you find the other way a little bit too difficult. Okay, so for the coaster, that's all we do, and that is your Captain America shield without all those nasty artifacts, just a few little bits here and there, but looking good. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this African violet flat circle. Now I've previously done an African violet hexagon, so it's very similar, but it's quite simple to turn it into a circle. Now I've done this before, made this into a coaster, and I've done a placemat, pot stand, because you can make this larger by increasing. I've even used this as a centre of a hat. Anywhere that you would normally use a flat circle, it's perfect for. So I'm using this with just scrap yarn. These are all DK weight, which is 3 weight. You can use 4 weight, just make sure you use the right size crochet hook. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. You'll be informed when there are new videos. I have quite a lot of tutorials on there already and loads more coming. And if you could like and share this video, it would really help me grow my channel, which I'd really appreciate it. So as I said, I'm using just DK weight, and I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. This is a Clover and More hook, which I'm using at the moment because I'm doing a trial on those and I'll be reviewing them. You also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle, which is in my box. So I'm going to start with this yellow, put these ones aside and find the end. There we are. Now you can start this with 5 chain and slip stitching into the chain to make a small loop, and then you will have a little gap in the center, which doesn't look out of place because there are these little gaps, so it can look quite pretty that way. But you can make it with the magic loop or magic ring, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to show you a much easier way to do that magic loop. So I just make a circle, make a loop, insert my hook into it and pull the yarn through, and that's it, it's done. Ever so easy. I'm going to pull it closed just a little bit because I don't like a big circle while I'm working. Where'd I put my glasses? Oh, over there. You can keep better control over it that way. So I put my fingers on it and I'm going to do 2 chain, so that's yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through, which gets me up to the height of my first stitch. Now these first 2 will count as my first stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and go into this circle, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And in the UK that's called a treble crochet. In the US a double. So that's what we're going to be doing for now in any case. So we're going to work in groups of 2. So those first 2 chain count as our first. So we have 2 stitches and we're going to yarn over and pull through to make a chain. And now we need another 2. So go into the same gap as before, into the same space, and do 2 more. Always make sure that you are working over the ring itself and the tail, and 1 more chain and do another 2. If I go ahead of you at any time, then please just pause the video. So altogether we want 6 groups of 2, 6 pairs. with the chain separating, and our last two, when you are coming near the end, as you will see, that tail will pop up, so just keep it down and make sure you're carrying on working over it. So I think that was number 5, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my last group of 2, but I'm not going to chain afterwards. Instead, I'm going to join with a seamless join, and I'm going to pull that slightly closed. So if you were doing this with a chain of 5, you would end up with a little circle like that. But this won't be fully closed until we really secure this tail. So just be careful it doesn't pull out. So now that's our first chain that we started with, and this is our second. And I'm going to go into this stitch here, and I'm going to join it with a half treble. That's a UK term, a half double in the US. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that stitch, and yarn over and pull up a loop to have 3 on my hook. I'm not going to finish my stitch, however, I'm just going to snip off my yarn, leaving those loops on the hook, and join my new colour, which will be the purple. So I'm going to just get out some yarn. Be careful not to tangle them together. And what I do is I'll hold on. Remember, this is your centre and this is your working yarn. Just hold on to that working yarn at the back with your finger like this, and bring the other one in and put them together. So you're holding both, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So now you've joined your new colour, and while I'm doing my tutorials, I like to secure this one I've just snipped off and my new one with a little knot, because it sometimes can work its way loose, especially as I'm not holding my work how I normally would while I'm doing a tutorial. So now I've got a few tails, which we need to make sure that this one always stays intact so you can pull it. Now if you look, we've got our groups separated by our chain, and this last one is separated and we're in the center of it. So what we need to do now is go into that center of our gap, our space, yarn over and pull up a loop, and not tight, but make sure that it's just a normal kind of tension, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and then I'm going to do a chain. So that's my first 2 chain, and it's going to count as my first stitch. Now we are doing this part here. So how I'm going to do, we're actually joining half of it. So I'm going to just do half of my first part of my petal, and all the others I'm going to do a full petal. Then when I get back, I'm going to finish off doing the other half, and this gives us a seamless join all the way around. So what we're doing now is this part here, and then we're going to carry on. So I need to do one more stitch, and I'm going to work over these 2 tails, not that center one, do be careful of that, and I'm just going to yarn over, go back into that same gap or space, we'll keep calling it a gap, yarn over and pull up, and do my last stitch. So now I've got my first half. I'm going to get to my next space, which is this one. There's my pair of stitches, and there's my chain space. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that chain space, and do my 2 and 1 chain and another 2 in the same space. So if you look, we've now got 2, 1 chain and 2 in the same space, and I'm going to do that in each of my chain spaces. So don't worry about those tails. I'll try and move them out of the way as much as possible so that you can't see them and be confused by them. So I'm doing 2, 1 chain and 2 in the same chain space. So that's in between every pair, you see? And we're going to keep going round and doing that in each one until we get back to the start, where we'll complete the other half of the first one that we've done. So I think I've gone over enough tail now to get rid of it altogether. Just pop it off, because this does make a few tails and it becomes a little bit difficult to see. So now we have the freedom of no tails. So if I put my finger behind, you can see the chain spaces, and we're just going to carry on with our little clusters in those spaces. And this is my last full one. I need a little bit more yarn. One chain, and now I need to complete this one, so I've got 2, and that little piece there, that little bit of yellow that you can see going across, if I didn't go into the ring, into that gap, that space with at the beginning, then that would have gone all the way across and it does look a bit ugly. So I'm going to do 2 in there. Now I'm going to join it to my top chain, but slightly differently this time than how I did it before, because I don't really want a big gap or to be in the absolute center of a large gap, and I'm not changing color. So I'm going, that's my first chain there, and that's my second chain. Even if I zoom, I think it's a little hard to see. See, there's the first chain, there's the second one, and I'm going to go in and pull up a loop. I think I might have only got one loop there. It's hard to see it. There we go. I'm going to go into the 2 loops and yarn over and pull through a loop. So I've got 2 on my hook. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through both. So I have a gap the size of a chain, but it's not massive, if you know what I mean. It's not a big gap. So I'm going to chain up 2. And now in between all of our petals, all of our little clusters, I need 7 stitches. So these 2 chain count as the first one. And I'm going to yarn over, go into that space and do 6 more in the same space. I need to pull some yarn. Pull out enough. So that's 2. I lost count then, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought it was 6. Wanted to make sure. So that's my 7th. So I've got 7 in between my my petals. So I'm going to not do any chaining, but I'm going to now do 7 into the next one. You can see the gap there. So I'm just going to go in and do 7 stitches. And we're going to do that in every single one all the way around, just in that centre one. So I need to pull out a bit more yarn because it's quite a lot of yarn used in this round. No chaining in between, just our 7, like a cluster of 7 in each one of those chain spaces. I'll zoom out, because otherwise I'll have a tendency to go off camera. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to carry on going into the centre of each of my clusters, that chain space, and do 7 in each, and I'll catch up with you when we get to this point. I've made it all the way around, so all I need to do now is join to the top of my first 2 chain, which is right there, and I'm going to do that but bring in my new colour. Sorry about the wobbly table, I've got my foot on it now. So hopefully that will be the end of the wobble. I wouldn't mind, but I have actually put something in the table to stop it from being wobbly, but it's not working. Don't normally have this problem, but we're putting a new floor in. So how I do that again is I hold on to that tail there where it's still attached, and I'm going to bring in my new colour and go through both with that new colour. And I'm going to cut off the purple. Now that did elongate. See that stitch there? That it did elongate a little bit. So I'm just going to pull it tight. Not too tight, obviously, but just going to pull it and tie that in a knot. So all is not lost if that does happen to you, but we don't really want it to. So now we've joined our new colour, I'm going to just do a chain. Now this is the point where we have to be really careful because we need 7 stitches all the way around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one here is our 7. So I'm going to go into that stitch and I'm going to do 1 double crochet UK terms, which is a single crochet in the US, in every stitch all the way around. So there's, if it gets confusing, just count them. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. So there we are, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there is our other one, it's right close by it. It's only because we have a join that they are quite close together on this particular petal. So I'm going to work over those tails again, just to get them out the way and we can get rid of them all together and then they're no more confusing. So we're going each stitch of our 7, and now when we get to this point I'm just going to cut them off. It's only a swatch to show you, so it's not like I'm going to do anything with this, just a tutorial. So I would do it more securely if it was a proper project. So now I have my 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're at this point and we've got a hole here and a hole there. So we're going to drop our hook all the way down to that first hole and pull up our yarn and finish our stitch with an elongated stitch. Do you see that? So then we're going to pull that aside because this one is our first stitch and we need to do our 7 UK doubles, US singles all the way around. That one is number 7. So again, we're not going to go into this space, we're going into this one. And we're going to pull up our yarn so that it's elongated, finish our stitch, pull that aside, and there is our stitch that we need to go into. And we're going to do our 7. Need to pull some yarn. That was 3. Now, don't worry if it starts to curl in. Just zoom out now. As you can see, can you see that? It's starting to curl a little bit. It doesn't matter. It's because we're not increasing, and so it will, but it doesn't cause too much of a problem. It will pull out, so don't worry. So we just need to pull up on our elongated stitches and make sure that we go in each of our 7 around. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back to you when I get all the way around and I'll meet up with you at the start. I've come all the way around and I'm on my last stitch there. So I need to drop down and pull up my last elongated stitch, and then I'm going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is my first stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into that one, not going to end off because the next round is going to be in the same colour. Now you have to watch what you're doing here. It's quite tricky because we need to start building up our round. So how we do that, and I've written it down just to remind me. I'm going to pull some more yarn. Bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 chain to start, which will count as my first stitch, and then in this first, so that's in this one, and in this one here I'm going to do a half treble, which is a half double in the US. So that's pull through all 3. So in my next 3 stitches, to get me over this hump, I'm going to do 3 UK doubles or US singles. So that's 1, 2, 3. And now another half treble or half double in the US. Now over my next stitches, I need to bridge this gap. So I'm going to do 3 treble crochet, which is a double crochet in the US. So that's 1, 2, get it in there, 3, and then I need to do a half treble. I think actually, sorry, no, I need to do 4 treble crochets. And now pull out some yarn and do, no, I was right, sorry, backtrack, it is a half treble. I should have read my notes. I only just wrote this pattern. I just used to do it from memory. So now I've got to go over these 3 stitches, which is over the hump again. So I'm going to do double crochet UK, single crochet in the US. So it's 3 of those, half treble, 3 trebles or doubles. See a pattern? So we do 3 of those, a half treble. Now the 3 small ones. So 3 double crochet UK, single crochet US, half treble, a half double, then 3 trebles or double crochet. So we're doing 3 big stitches, but we're also doing 3 small ones, and they're separated by a medium-sized half treble. And that turns this into a circle. You just need to make sure that you get your first stitch correct. And if you at any doubt at any time that you're in the wrong stitch, then these top 3 ones, the top 3, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these 3 need to be the single crochet US or double crochet UK. Those are the ones that need to be. You're going over the brow of the hill, if you like, and then when you get into the dip of the valley, those are the ones that need to be the large stitch. So now I'm on my UK trebles, which is a US double, and now I'm going to bring that down with my half treble, and now I'm going to do my UK doubles and my new half treble. It's at times like this I wish we didn't have different terms for our stitches, because it gets confusing when they're called the same thing. But you know, it is what it is. But as you can see, that is now turning into a circle. We're on the last part. Now I'm on my half treble, and I started with my 2 chain, which counts as a treble obviously, so I should finish with 2 instead of the 3. And now I need to slip stitch into the top of my first 2. Now if you wanted to change colour at this point, you can, and as you can see I did. I changed to a white one to make a coaster, and I'm going to do that. Just snip off this green and bring in my white. But you don't have to do that. You can carry on as long as you do some increasing. Got my, I don't know why that went into there. Bear with me a second. Just need to untangle my white. Right, so yes, as long as you increased as you went around. So by this point, if you were doing a normal circle, and if you were using, say, a UK treble or US double crochet, you would probably be doing an increase in every fourth stitch. So you do 3, then an increase of 2, then 3, then an increase of 2, and on the next round you would do 4, then an increase of 2. So you would have already been doing several increases by the time you get to this point. And that's what I did when I made the hat. I just kind of started to increase from here until I'd done enough, because it was only for a child. So anyway, I'm going to join my yarn same way as before by holding on to that tail, bringing in my new one and holding the tail, and so it doesn't elongate my stitch because it went perfect that time. And just tie these together, which I know does annoy at least one person that watches me, but I'm sorry about that. I like it to be secure. So now all I'm going to do is the same as I did with this, and that is one UK double crochet all the way around. So that was a US single crochet, nice and simple, just to finish it off nicely. And I'm going to start with one chain and going into the same stitch, and then into the next one, which, because we've made a join, does look very close together, but it's not too bad. Now this has got no increases in it this round, and it's okay. It won't really pull up, and if it does, it only takes a little bit of manipulating. Didn't go through the actual part of the stitch there. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to that. It annoys me. So yeah, you just need to pull it out a little bit. So I'm working over those 2 tails again, just to get them out the way. It's when you get to that point, you sometimes find that because they're different stitches underneath, then the sometimes you find it's a little bit more tricky to get into that part of the stitch, if you know what I mean, like underneath the first 2 loops, because we've done different ones underneath. So I'm just going to like snip them off, get rid of them. If it was my project, I would be doing it a lot more securely. But it's easy to sort of just get rid of them when you're doing this tutorial. For some people, that's enough, just going over them that much. See what I mean about the different stitches? Whereas normally it's quite a nice big chunky bit to go into, because that was a different stitch, it's smaller. So I just make sure that I go through the same part of the stitch in each one, going all the way around the edge. But that's always supposing, of course, that you want to finish at this point. But you could still do this round just to finish it, and then start, there's that small one again. You could then start doing increasing from this round on. But I think it makes it into a lovely little circle, lovely little flat circle, and it still keeps the African violet shape and the pretty stitch, you know, the petals and everything. So I must say, using this green, it's certainly helped with the fact that I couldn't, with the darker ones, although they're not actually as dark as they look on the camera. It was easy to see them while I was doing them, but for showing you, they were they came through as a little bit darker, even though they weren't quite vibrant colours. I always find that purple is a very, very difficult colour to photograph in any case. It always wants to look blue. So now I'm almost back to the start, and all that I have to do now is slip stitch into that stitch there, and I'm going to end off because I'm done. But if you wanted to, you could chain 2 and start doing the increases. And just a little tip, that if you do that, when you're increasing, if you do your increase in your first stitch for the first round and then do 3 and then an increase, but the second round do your 4 and then your increase. Then your increases are always in a different place, and it stops it from looking hexagon shaped. Sorry about that. Phone call coming through. I thought I'd put it on silent. But that's how it looks. And I was very pleased with that, the way it came out. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and please like and share. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do this absolutely gorgeous coaster. It is the Alpine stitch or dragon stitch done in the round with some increases. This one I have made with a cotton DK yarn. Here it is. I got this some time ago when I was making a picnic blanket, and I had some of the yarns left over. So yeah, it's lovely and soft, this one, but you don't have to use soft yarn for a coaster. After all, you might want them sturdy. So the yarn that I used for my previous coasters was Cheney Cotton Cakes, and I do have some more of that in my stash, so I probably will use those. Now they recommend a very small crochet hook anyway, so I probably would use the same size crochet hook, or maybe a 4.5, but I used a 4mm for this. So for this stitch you might want to go down a hook size so it is nice and tight. You don't really want to see gaps, although there is a lot of stitches in this, so you probably won't see those gaps. But you'll also need a darning needle and a pair of scissors, and you can get quite a lot out of a skein of yarn. This is 100 grams, and I've barely touched the surface with this. So I've chosen this really lovely light grey silver colour because it's very easy to see on camera. I was toying with the idea of edging it maybe in black for my table, but obviously a black is hard to see, so I just kept it with the silver. And at the end of this I'll give you the option of doing another row around if you want, but because this row is an increase row. Okay, so if this is part of a standalone tutorial, the left-handed version will start when this one ends, and there'll be a timestamp in the description box for that. If it is part of a compilation, then obviously the left-handed one will be separate. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and hopefully you'll get informed when new videos pop up. And if you could like and share and hype this video, really does help my channel. Okay, so just bear with me a second while we clear this away and we can get started. Okay, so I'm going to make a magic loop, which I do by making a ring. Mine is very simple, you don't have to be worried about it at all. Make a loop, insert your hook and bring that through, and then we make a chain. Now I'm going to pull that chain down a little ways because I don't want it to get confused for a stitch, and I'm going to chain 2. Now normally I will do a stack double crochet UK, stack single, but I'm doing chains this time because I need it to be a thinner stitch. Now inside this loop, working over this knotted tail, I'm going to do another 11 stitches, and I'm going to do UK treble crochets, which are double crochets in the US. So we yarn over, we go in and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So again, that is yarn over, go in, yarn over and pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So altogether we want 12 stitches in this ring, and those 2 chains at the beginning, or those chains, count. Okay, so I'm going to pause it then because it's difficult to count when you're listening to me. So I shall come back to you once I have my 12. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to slip stitch into the top of those chains to make a ring. And when I do, I'm going to pull that tight so that that loop doesn't get mistaken for a stitch. I'm going to chain 1, And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a front post treble crochet around this stitch, okay? So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go between the stitch. So I've got, well, that's the chains I started with. So I've gone behind and out the other side. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull it right up. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And okay, where this stitch come out of, I'm going to do one more UK treble, but a normal one next to it. Okay, so this is my next stitch and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a front post, so I'm going to go around that stitch, pull up my loop through 2, through 2, and then I'm going to go and put a normal UK treble in that, right next to it in the same stitch. Okay, around this one, pull it right up, don't forget to pull it up, through 2, through 2, and then same stitch, I'm going to do a normal stitch. And that's our repeat, one front post, one normal. So we are still increasing each stitch as we would any circle, but one of them is a front post and one of them is a normal stitch. So we're going around it, pulling right up, and then we're going to go back and place our normal stitch right next to it there. Okay, I'm going to give this a little tug to close it up a bit, but we're not going to secure it at this stage. So I'm going to pause it and I want you to do the same around every single stitch. We're going to front post, don't forget to pull it up and place one normal stitch right next to it, and I shall come back to you once I've got all the way around. Okay, so I've made it all the way around and all I have to do now is slip stitch to my very first stitch. Now I promise you that one is the hardest of all the rounds because well, I can't find my stitch. What have I done? What have I done with my stitch? Is it there? I've got a baggy loop. Okay, slip stitch to my first one. So that's the hardest one of them all because, you know, you're kind of trying to get to in the same stitch and you're not used to where it goes and it's difficult. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and I'm going to pull it down and I'm going to go back into the same stitch. Okay, so we have 24 stitches now and we're going to do a UK double crochet in each one. So that's going into our stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of them. And then we're going to go in every single one all the way around and do one UK double crochet. So we will have 24 stitches at the end of this round, plus because we haven't increased, it might pull tight, but don't worry about that if it does. The next row round, we'll pull it out. So one in every single stitch all the way around, and when you get back to the start, you'll have 24. Made it all the way around, so now we just have to join with our slip stitch and pull it nice and tight. Okay, so that's the next row we're going to do is we're going to increase a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to do some increasing and we need to keep the Alpine stitch pattern the way it should be. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1 and this one here you can see is a front post stitch and this one is a front post. This is a normal stitch. So the way the Alpine stitch works if you've done it on a flat is that when you have a front post you put a normal UK treble in it, and when you have a normal you do your front post. So I'm going to just do in that stitch a normal UK treble. Now it doesn't matter if it leans over slightly, we've still got our 2 loops to go into, and then around this one we're going to increase. So we're going to go in this side and out that side of the stitch as before. We're going to yarn over and pull it right up, and we're going to pull through 2, and pull through 2. So to increase, if we look behind, there is the stitch that's unworked. We're going to place a normal UK treble crochet in that stitch. And then we're going to go back around this again, exactly the same as before, and do another front post. So all around that normal UK treble crochet, we've done a front post. Behind it, where the stitch lays in front, we've got our normal stitch, and then we've done another one. Okay, so in the next stitch, we are going to do, because it's a post, we're going to do a normal UK treble crochet, and we're back to this guy. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do our front post around it. We're going to pull right up. That's my wool genie clunking. Behind it, you can see there's the unworked stitch. We're going to put one in that stitch, a normal UK treble crochet, and then we're going to come back and go around that same stitch, pull it right up and do another. So we're increasing in every single normal UK treble. Okay, so again, we're going to do one in that stitch next to it, one normal UK treble crochet. So as you're looking at this for our next round, which will be, obviously we do every other row will be a UK double crochet. But when we do this row again, we've still got a front post, a normal, a front post, a normal, a front post, a normal. So that is how we are going to proceed all the way around. We've done our normal stitch in that front post, and we're going to make our increase in the one that's laying back. Don't forget to pull it up. Okay, so pull it forward and you can see the stitch that's unworked. We're going in that stitch with our normal UK treble crochet, and then we're going to go back around the one we've already done and make another front post. Whoops. So if you do get strands, if you're working in cotton like myself and you get those errant little strands, if you pull them, then they disappear, those kind of baggy loops. If you see what I was talking about, if you saw it happen, you'll know when you get these kind of ones that do that, you just give them a tug and they all sit nicely. Okay, so next is our normal one. We do one more around this normal UK treble crochet once, pull it aside, twice, and go around it again, third time. Okay, there we are. We're just going to do that all the way around. So our next stitch will be a normal UK treble crochet. We'll do our increase in this one, and we're going to alternate that all the way around. I'll pause the video then and I shall catch up with you once I get back to the start again. Okay, so we've made it all the way around and we're going to slip stitch into that first UK double crochet, and we're going to have a total of 48 now. Okay, so slip stitch into that stitch. Okay, so I'm going to chain one. I'm going to pull it down because I don't want it to get confused with a stitch, and we're going to do one UK double crochet, which is a single in the US in every single stitch around, exactly the same as we did between our last two spike rounds. So we're going to do that. Don't worry if it cups up again, that's just the way it kind of works. And it might, if you can, just make sure that you still have 48 stitches when you get back to the start. So nice and simple, one in every stitch all the way around. Okay, I'll pause this because we've done this before, and I'll see you when we get back to the start. Okay, we're just all the way around. All we've got to do now is slip stitch into that first one and pull it so that that loop does not get confused with the stitch. Okay, so we're not going to do any increases in this next round it's because we did quite a few in this round. So we've got 48 stitches now, and we will continue with 48 stitches. So I'm going to chain 1, and around this first stitch is a normal stitch, and there is our post. So we're going to do a front post around that stitch. So you can go around just the stitch, and I'll show you what that looks like. That looks fine, but you've got this little bit here, which is the chain. Now, normally speaking, when you get up to the height of a stitch, you chain 2, but we've got just 1. So you can go around that chain as well and pull that up and complete our stitch. And then it helps to hide it. Okay, so behind that stitch, there is the one that belongs to this particular post. And we're going to go and do a normal UK treble crochet in the next one, which is under it is the post. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to alternate between our front post. Don't forget to pull it right up. I'm having trouble getting my yarn. Hang on. Got to start at the top of my genie. And in the next one, you can always check behind. There's the unworked stitch. We're going in the next one. I know in the previous round we went into the stitch behind our post, but we're not doing that in this round. We are just doing 1 in every stitch. So we have pull it up, our post, and then the one that lays behind it we're not going into, we're going into the next one. So we're just alternating in this round, nice and easy. Don't forget to pull them up though, and that will kind of even out our increases a little bit as well. Okay, so one in the normal, and then a normal one where the post is. So that's how we're doing that. We're alternating. So if this was a post, it is a normal stitch. This one is a normal stitch. It becomes our front post. Okay, so that's nice and simple all the way around in every single stitch. I'll pause the video then, and I'll catch up with you once I get back to the start. Right, so we're all the way around, and all we have to do now is slip stitch into our first one. So what I'm going to do now is make this into a coaster. So I'm going to do my chain as I have done all along and pull it down, and I'm going to do my UK double crochet row, but I'm going to do some increases along this row so that it lays nice and flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5, and then I'm going to increase by placing 2 in the same stitch, and then 5. And then 2 in the next stitch. And I'm going to do that all the way around. And if it doesn't work out exactly when I get to this part here, I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to finish off however many it has. But that's what I'm going to do for this whole round. So I shall pause it, and after every 5, I will do an increase until I get back to the start. Okay, so after my last increase, I do have 1 stitch left. I'm just going to do that 1 stitch. Okay, now what I'm going to do, because that is the end of our coaster, and if you wanted to make 1 more round, you could, but I'm going to leave it at that because you can pull it nicely into shape anyway. So I'm going to cut this yarn. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to take a darning needle, and I'm going to struggle to threadle said darning needle because I always do. Mind you, I do have some fingernails this time, so I can pull it, make sure it goes through. Okay, so What I'm going to do is, this is my first stitch. I'm going to go from the back to the front through the 2 loops with my needle. And then I'm going to do the opposite with the one next to it. I'm going to go back to front, front to back. So I did back to front, now I'm doing front to back. And you pull it so that it looks identical in every way to this stitch here. So then I hold on to it so that it doesn't get any looser or tighter, and I just make a knot by going through a loop, going back through itself, pulling it tight. So when I look at it, I can't from the front see where that was. They all look the same. And now all I have to do is feed this through. So you can end here if you want to, or you can go all the way around with another colour just to finish it off. But that is completely up to you. My next round, if I did another round with another colour or the same colour, there would be no more increase in. That would be the end of the increases. Okay, so I'm just going to snip this off, and now I have to take care of that centre, because you can just give it a little tug around and it lays nice and flat. But this centre, we need to make sure it's pulled tight, and then we need to struggle again with our threading. And how we make sure that this isn't going to ever come undone, it's coming out of this stitch here. So I'm holding it there for a second. I'm just going to go through that stitch like this. And when it's a small loop, going through the loop, give it a tug. Now that is a knot and it's never going to come undone. And all I have to do then is bury my tail around this centre, and it will never come out of there. It's too tight for a start, and we've knotted that end. So just go round once or as many times as you want, but it's never coming out. That'll do me. I've gone round once and a little bit, and I'll just snip it off. And we have our coaster. So if you made it with sturdier yarn, this is quite soft and floppy, this yarn. Just needs to just pull it a little bit, and then it's in. I think I love that. I really love these coasters. I'm going to do mine with chainy cotton cakes because they are really sturdy and would lay flat. I made some of those before, not with this stitch but with another, and I did it as a tutorial, and they really do keep their shape and lay really flat. I will be doing a table mat as well to match, and maybe a centerpiece, but just watch out for that. Won't be just yet. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this super cute Sunburst coaster. And if you made it with Christmas colours, it really would look lovely at Christmas time on your festive table. But you can use any yarn that you like for this. I've used DK weight yarns, and I've edged it in the darker colour. You can go round one more time, edge it in white if you want to, but I quite like the way it looks with just the colours. So just a word on this tutorial then. If this is part of a standalone tutorial, the left-handed version will start when the right-handed one finishes. There'll be a timestamp in the description box for that left-handed version, although I know many of you like to watch both of them for me, and I really do appreciate that. If it's part of a compilation, then the left-handed one will be separate, okay? Separate video. If you could like and share this video and hype it, it really does help my channel. And if you've not done so already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and hopefully you'll be informed when new videos pop up. So I've used various colours of DK weight yarn. I've also used a 4mm crochet hook this time, and you'll need a pair of scissors and a darning needle. Okay, so I'm just going to clear all this out the way and we can get started. Okay, to start this one, we are going to do a chain of 4. Okay, well actually I'm going to do a chain of 5 because it's quite a lot of stitches that are going into that ring, and then I'm going to do a slip knot to join that. If you wanted to do a magic ring you can, but I'm just going to do a chain of 5. So in the center of this circle right there, I'm going to insert my hook and pull up a loop, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of them, and then in this left leg here I'm just going to insert my hook in there, yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through both of them. So if you look to the side of that stitch, it's the same height as 2 chains. I'm sorry if you can see dye under my fingernails, but I can't get it out. So just try and see past it, it's not dirt. Okay, so in the center of this circle, working over this tail, I'm going to put another 17 UK treble crochets, which are double crochets in the US. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the center, yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to do that one more time with you. Yarn over, go in the center, work over the tail, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So we want a total of 18 stitches in there. It's quite a lot of stitches. If when it gets to the end you've got to pull them aside to get them in, that's fine. So I've done 4. I'm going to pause the video and I shall come back to you once I have the last of my 18 UK trebles, which are double crochets in the US. So if I say treble crochet and you work in American terms, you will know that I mean your double. Okay, I shall pause it now then and catch up with you when I get back to the start. Okay, so I've got all of those stitches in there, and all I have to do now is go to the top 2 loops of that very first stacked stitch that I did. In the UK we call it a stack double, and in the US it's a stack single, but we'll just call it stack for now. So I'm going to slip stitch into there, and I want to make that loop that I've just done as small as possible so it doesn't get confused with a stitch. Okay, so I'm going to cut this yarn, pull that through. I'm going to work over this tail, and as I worked over this tail I can snip that off and it won't get in the way and cause any confusion. Okay, just need to pause it for a second while I bring my new colour in. Okay, so we need to join it at any point, and I'm going to join it right there. I'm going to work over 2 tails. It doesn't matter for this one, it's not very big. So I'm going to bring my new colour in and join that colour. Okay. Sorry about that. I had a parcel, it wasn't even for me. Okay, so we need to chain once. That one where I joined doesn't count. So I'm just going to give it a little tug to bring it back down. And in this same space, I'm going to make a puff stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go into that stitch, yarn over, and pull up my loop. I'm going to yarn over again. I'm going to go back in, yarn over and pull up that loop the same height. Yarn over again, go back in, getting a little congested in this stitch, pull up my loop. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull through all of those and chain 1. So I'm going to do that in every single stitch. We have 18 stitches round, so at the end of this we'll have 18 puff stitches and separated by a chain 1. So we'll do that again together. We're going to yarn over and pull up the loop high, go back in, pull up the loop, yarn over, go back in, pull up the loop, go through all of those and chain 1. And again in the next one, just working over those tails and pull up a loop, go back in, pull up the loop, go back in, pull up the loop, pull through all of those and chain 1. Okay, so we're going to do that in every single stitch all the way around, and we will end up with 18 puff stitches. Okay, so I shall pause the video and catch up with you once I get back all the way around to the start. Okay, so we're all the way around, and I'm going to slip stitch, but I'm going to slip stitch into this stitch here, not the first chains. Okay, so I'm going to check. I've done my chain. Here it is. Look, I've chained after my stitch, and I'm just going to slip stitch into that stitch there and end this colour off. Again, we'll work over that tail. So I did get rid of my tails as I went along. Okay, so that's how it's looking right now. Just bear with me a second while I bring in my new colour. Okay, so I'm going to join in any chain space between our puff stitches and bring in my new colour. This time it's pink. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to treble 4 together. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that space and pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. So that's once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and I've got 5 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull through all of those and I'm going to chain 2. Okay, I'm going to do that in between every single space. So again, I'm going to pull up my loop and I'm going to pull through 2. I'm going to yarn over, go back in, pull up my loop, pull through 2. And this is a 3rd time. And this is the 4th time. So we start 4 treble crochets. Remember, that is a UK treble, so US double. So this is double 4 together, and we are trebling 4 together. So we're going to pull through all of those and chain 2. Okay, so we're going to do that in every single stitch, again working over my tails as I go. So once, twice, 3 times, Elaine, but 4 times is even better. Okay, pull through all of those, chain 2. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that all the way around. I'm going to work over this tail as well. Once I've worked over enough of them, I'm just going to cut them off and I'll pause it then. I'll catch up with you when we get back to the start. Okay, so I've made it all the way around. I've done my 2 chain and I'm just going to slip stitch into this space and end that colour. Okay. So you can just play with the colours of this. It would look lovely in Christmas colours as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our final colour and we're going to join it however you normally do join. And I'm going to work over that tail. So I'm going to place 2 UK double crochets in this space. So that's 1 and 2. Okay, then in the next space I'm going to put 3. So 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to jump straight over to the next space and do 3. 1, 2 and 3. Jump straight over to the next space. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I want you to do that all the way around. And yes, we did just do 2 in the first one, because when we get all the way back round, we're going to finish this off. Okay, so I'm going to pause it then and I'm going to work over this tail as I go, just as I've worked over the others. And I will see you once we get back to here and we'll finish this off together. So 3 in every chain space. Okay, so I'm all the way around. Now, if yours puckers, you could just do this one in a slightly larger crochet hook. So if you wanted to jump up to a 4.5 just for this round, but mine is perfect, doesn't need it at all. So all I need to do now is finish my third one in that particular opening, chain space, and cut my yarn. I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to grab my darning needle and struggle to thread it as I usually do. So there we are, pull that in. Okay, so now looking at it, you can see the V's. We're going to go from the back to the front, get in both of those parts of the V. Okay, and that is the same sort of size as all of the other chains. So I'm going to go front to back of the one that's next to it. So we've gone in this one and we're going to go back through that one. So we're pulling that to look like all the other chains. Okay, so now I'm going to hold on to it so it's going nowhere. And I'm just going to go through this stitch here and I'm going to make a loop. And then once it's small, I'm going to go back through that loop and give it a tug, make it tight. Now that is the same size and going to go nowhere. So all I have to do now is thread it through these stitches. Yeah, I'm quite tight in places where I've got joins. So just make sure you can't see it from the other side and pop that in there. Now I don't believe it would come back again the other way, but just to make sure, what I do is I split the stitch that it's coming out of and then I go back through some. And it won't pull through because you've split that stitch. And then snip that off. And I did snip my ends off as I was working, just the last couple that need snipping off. So that one, that last one, is the only one you have to do if you worked over all of your ends. So there you go, a Sunburst coaster. But like I said, if you did this in Christmas colours, it'd look really, really nice on your festive table. Okay, thank you so much for watching. If you've not done so already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Hopefully you'll be informed when new videos pop up. And if you could like, share and hype this video, really does help my channel. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this super cute mosaic hexagon. Now this one, I've made it in two colours of teal, a dark and a light one, and this is just as it comes out, but I will show you ways of making your centre smaller. If you want to do a magic ring, you can, or there is another way. Now this I've made into a square before. I've done several mosaic squares and variations, but this one I'm going to show you how to do it with two colours and doing 2 rows of each colour. I've made several squares, like I said, and I will link them at the end so you can see how it works up making 1 row in each colour. It drastically changes the whole thing. So that is obviously a square, but you just need to transfer that over to making the hexagon. It's exactly the same principle. So also, if you make this a little smaller, it makes a lovely coaster. But this particular one, I'm just going to zoom out, does pucker a little bit. And the reason for that is because the spike, because of this, we're going down to this stitch here, obviously, and it does pull it down. So it has this kind of curving effect, but you could block it if you wish, or if you're making a blanket and you're sewing these together or sewing them with other hexagons, so they're not all the same, then this will obviously pull it out and the weight of the blanket will pull it out nicely. But just looking at it like this, it does have this star effect. Sorry about that, a lorry has just gone by much too fast. I hope you didn't hear that too much. Anyway, it does have this kind of dipping in effect, but that's because we're dipping down. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and for this tutorial I've got two really inexpensive double knitting yarns, but you can make this out of any weight yarn as long as you use the corresponding crochet hook. But this is just inexpensive yarn from a local store called Pound Stretcher. It's Yarn Fair Tootsie, and it really does work up lovely. I've never had any problems using this yarn. It works up like an expensive one does. It's just amazing. Now the price of this particular one at the time was 69p. I don't know how much 69 pence, I don't know how much that is now, if it's gone up or not. I know that their prices went up a little bit. It might be 79 pence now. A little while ago they were half price of everything in the store, which was amazing, but I didn't buy any because I had too much already. So I'm going to show you in these colours, and hopefully they do show up nicely. Now when I made this one, I started with the light colour first, and I'll do that again. So I'm going to start with the white, and I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook, and I've got a pair of scissors handy. And unless you work your ends in, I always do, you're going to need a darning needle. I haven't got one with me for the purposes of this tutorial because it's only ever just showing you one. I never actually show you me using it, well, very rarely. So you need to make a slip knot to start, unless you're making a magic ring, which of course you can do. I have a tutorial you will never find an easier tutorial than mine to make your magic ring. So I will pop that at the end as well as the squares. So I'm just going to make one the way I normally do. Now, for a granny square, I would normally chain 4. But this is a hexagon, and we're putting a lot more in that centre ring. Obviously, it doesn't make any difference if you're using a magic ring, but with this one, you can close it up quite tight if you want to, and I'll show you how. So I'm going to chain 6, and that's a yarn over and pull through. Simple as that for a chain. I'm going to do 6 altogether. And then I'm going to join that. It's quite a large hole, but we need it at the moment. I'm going to join that by going into my very first chain and slip stitching, and then we've got this hole that we can work in. Now it does seem huge, and it works up, and you saw the finished article, it working into it makes it baggier, but there are ways we can close that. So I'm going to chain 2 to get me up to the right height for my next stitch, which is a UK treble. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and that is a US double crochet. I'm going to yarn over, go into the center of the ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 3 on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's our stitch. That's the only stitch we're going to do all the way through. Well, slightly, maybe there is another. We'll see. I'll give you the option. Now I'm going to do one more in that same space until I now have a cluster of 3 with my 2 chain to start with. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do another 3 in exactly the same space. If I go ahead of you, just pause me and catch up with me. I'm going to do another 3. I'm working over my tail, you see, that's quite important. You need to do that. And chain 1. There we go. So I have 2. Now this part is, if you're used to making granny squares, is very similar, but we're not going to stop at 4. We're going to have 6 lots. So we're going to do that again, working over my tail. Got my 3rd one, grab that. There we go, get him out of the way. And chain 1. Now it's getting quite tight there in that ring already. All you have to do is by holding your ring and that tail, and just pull that slightly over and bunch it up. Now you've got lots of big space to work in again. Lots of big space. So I'm going to do another 3. And one more chain. How many have I done so far? 1, 2, 3, 4. I felt like I'd done more. Sorry, just an itchy nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need a total of 6, but I'm not going to finish with a chain. Whereas I'm putting a chain between these, but I won't end with a chain. Again, if it gets tight, you just pull it over slightly, but remember to hold the tail and just pull it over. And my last set of 3, if I've gone streaking ahead, just pulls me down. Okay, so there we go. That's our last one. I'm just going to pull it over slightly so that it's not kind of going over here. So we've got a chain space in between all of our little clusters of 3. You can't see it. I don't chain in a baggy way, so you can't see them that well, but they are there. There's my chains in between. So we're going to have the same distance between this one, but we're not going to do a chain, because if I chained and I slip stitch into here, I'm there and I don't want to be there, unless I'm the sort of person who wants to turn their work, which I'm not. I hate turning my work. I don't like the back of the stitch at all. I'd much rather see the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this top chain. There's the first chain that I did, the second chain. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. So I'm now going to yarn over and pull through both those loops on my hook. So that is kind of a UK double crochet or US single. And it's given me exactly the same amount of space between my clusters. Now, depending on the stitch I'm doing, depends on the stitch I'd put between. But for this one, it's a UK double or a US single crochet. Now this round, I'm not changing colour. If I was, when you see my Mosaic granny square where it changes every round, you might want to do it that way. So if I just change my colour, or whether I don't just change my colour, I do the same thing. I put my hook into my space between my clusters where I'm dead centre. So I put my hook in there, I bring up a loop, and now with 2 on my hook, I'll do 2 chains. So 1, 2. And that just puts this little bit here. So when you change colour, it won't look odd. But I do it anyway as a matter of course. So I'm going to do 2 more. This counts as my first stitch. So I'm going to do 2 more, which will give me half a corner and make our granny spiky hexagon seamless. Okay, so now in each of our spaces between, we're going to put a corner. If you're used to doing granny squares, I'm just going to pull some yarn out while I talk. If you're used to doing granny squares, you'll know what I'm talking about. So this corner there's our space between our 3. We're going to yarn over and do our cluster of 3 that we've not just the same as we have been. And I'm going to do 1 chain, and in the same space another cluster of 3. That creates the corner. So if you're familiar with granny squares, you know exactly what I mean. Now I'm going to do a corner in every single chain space between our 3s. So I'm going to do another one here. A cluster, sorry, hit the thing with my hook. I'm getting a bit excited. So do a cluster of 3, 1 chain, and another cluster of 3. So now we are making our sides by making corners. And now I've completed this one, I'll pull out my yarn a bit and I'll show you what I mean. So now we're making corners, which is creating a side. And underneath, this is our first round. That row is where we're going to go into in the next one, creating the spike. So we're making a side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in each of our chain spaces between our clusters of 3, I'm going to do a corner, and then I'm going to catch up with you when I've done this one, and I'll show you how we finish off our last one and how we change our colour. Okay, so here we are back at the first one with our half corner. So we're going to go back in here and we're going to do our last 3, which is the other half of that corner. That does kind of creep over, as you can see. So I just pull it slightly apart, and now I'm going to do exactly the same as I did before, closing this one with a UK single crochet, but I'm going to change colour. So I'm going to put that down for a second. I'm going to get my new colour out. I'm going to snip this yarn off and move it to one side and bring in my new colour. Just pull out some yarn. Okay, I think I've got a little bit pulled out now. So how do we do this? Okay, so I'm going to go into my top of my 2 chains. So there's the first one. It's very difficult to see on white, isn't it? Possibly not the best colour I could have chosen. So if you want to, you can go into the top 2 stitches like this, but sometimes I find it creates a little separation. Not always. Struggling to get hold of my curly yarn. And I'm going to change colours by pulling that through and completing my stitch with the new colour. Now, I'm going to turn my work over, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on this here and cinch it down. Just cinch it down a bit. And then I'm going to tie this, and I know there are some people who hate this part where I tie it off, but I've had a few that have come adrift in the past, and I always tie them now, once bitten and all that. And I usually work my ends in as I go, but I won't today. Now, while I think of it, our centre is fairly big, you can see. It's not as big as my original. My original one seems quite a lot bigger because it's probably got heavier. But because we've still got this tail in situ, if we tug on it, it gets smaller. So we can control whether we want just a small hole like this so that it kind of is in keeping with these, or we can get rid of it altogether by giving it a good hard tug. So that's another way of making your centre nice and neat. Okay, so I'm not going to work over my tails. I'm not going to confuse you, but we are now, I've actually gone in the wrong place there, haven't I? See, mistakes can happen. So here we go. Finish off my stitch. I never go in that part, you see. Hang on, got too much now. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go into my top chain, and I'm just going to change the colour again. There we are. And do, no, not my chain. I'm going to go into, it's because these tails are in the way. I'm going to go into my space, yarn over and pull it up. And now I'm going to do my 2 chain, just as I did on the previous round. And it puts this colour down there. Otherwise, you don't have it. And it kind of looks a little weird sometimes. With something like this, it actually bunches up quite well, so you don't get to see too much of this part here. But I always find if I go down there, it hides it nicely. So I'm going to finish off by doing my 2 stitches to complete the half of my corner. And I worked over the yarn a little bit there to get it out of the way because it was getting in the way. So this is what I mean. If you cinch it down, I messed that up a little bit. I didn't cinch it enough because I went in the wrong place. So now we're on the side, and we're going to make our first spike side. So first stitch we do will be as normal, going in there, just making our first part of a normal granny side. Now we're going to go down here. Now you can do 2 things. You can either yarn over and do a front post around this center stitch here. So you insert your yarn at this side, you come out at that side, and you yarn over and you pull it up a long way. And then you complete your stitch exactly the same as usual. And that makes your granny. But there is another way, and I'm going to give you the choice because it does pull it and dip down. You can yarn round twice and then do your front post. Go around the stitch exactly the same, yarn over and pull up still, even though you're doing a longer stitch, and you can yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Now it does seem mega long, but you need it, trust me. Now I prefer to do that because this stitch doesn't have that long, vulnerable stitch that can get a pull on it. It's actually twisted in, if you like. So now I'm going to finish off my set of 3 by going back into my normal granny space and finishing it off. So that's how we make the spike. And I prefer, as I say, to do the UK double treble or US treble crochet instead of one big long treble or double. So now we've got to the corner. We do our corner exactly the same way as before. Nothing different. I was going to try and find myself a nice baby pink to show this, and I've got lots of it. And do you think I could find one ball? All I could find was one small ball that I wasn't sure if I had enough, or a giant ball of yarn that I didn't want to use yet. But all of the pink disappeared quite strangely. So this is how we're making our corners. I will make another corner with you, and then we'll stop and we'll look at a full corner, because this one only has half a corner on it. So we'll look at our full side, So we're going to start the same, making our first stitch as normal. I'm yarning round twice, and I'm dropping down to this group here, and I'm going to go around this third one. So I'm going to insert that side, come up that side, yarn over and pull up, still pull up, and complete my stitch by going through 2, going through 2, and going through 2. I don't think it was very wise to have a red hook, but hopefully you can see that okay. So I'm going to finish it off with my 1 further stitch to make my 3, and we'll do this corner, and then we'll stop and we'll have a look and see what it looks like. If I go ahead, you know by now, just pause me. Oh, I need to pull out a little yarn. I'll do one more, I think, in there. And pull out my loop, and that is our full side. So there you go. That's what it's looking like. It kind of makes them look a little bit like hearts in the corner there. But these are spiking right down, and I find using the UK double treble or the US treble crochet puts way less stress on that than doing a normal I couldn't remember if I'd used what one I'd used on here, but I still use, and as you can see, I still use the double treble or the US treble, and it still has that pulling down going on. So you really do need to pull up a little way as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do our corners as normal, and in our side we're going to do our 1 normal stitch, our elongated double treble or treble crochet US, finish our side and do a corner. Now I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to pause it and catch up with you once I've got to here, and we'll finish it off together. Okay, so I've gone all the way around, and it's at this point I want to point out to you that this original tutorial was going to be for a coaster, and this is where I was going to finish, and I was going to just do a row of UK doubles or US single crochets in this white colour all the way around, and that's how I was going to make my coaster. But I decided, what would it look like if I carried on a bit? So we're going to do another row, and I'm going to finish off my corner just the same as I have before by doing my last 3 in there. Pulling it over because it's bunching, and now I'm going to finish off by going into that top of my second chain and doing a UK double crochet or US single, and we've got our completed. So with this one I did 2 rows of my first colour, 2 rows of my second, and then I did another 2 rows with the beginning colour. So we'll carry on, and that's what we'll do to make sure that it looks the same. Of course it will. So I'm going to insert my hook, pull up a loop and pull it through. So I've got 2, and then I'm going to do my 2 chain, and then my next 2 stitches as usual to create my half of the corner. But as you can see, even though we've been pulling up, when you lay it down, it's still got this curving in because of our corners, I guess, as well. That's part of it. So now we've got 2 places to go into on our sides. So we're going to go in and do our first stitch, yarn round twice, and we're now dropping down to the previous corner, to that third group of 3, I mean. We're going to go around that middle one, exactly the same as we did before. We're going to yarn over and pull it up, definitely pull up, and we're going to complete it by going through 2, yarning over and going through 2, and going through the next 2. And then we're going to finish that one off with our stitch. Now we've got one next to it, exactly the same. I'm going to do another side. Yarn around twice. Of course, if you're, just doing the normal treble or double crochet in the US, you just need to pull it up a heck of a long way, or you will get a lot more dip in than I've got. Okay, so that's what it's looking like. It will look quite fetching with these colours. It's a lovely kind of contrast colour. Just making sure, and I've gone in the wrong place, haven't I? It's because it's so dark and trying to look through a camera, it's not that easy. So I've just made sure, and that was, thank goodness I did. I was in the wrong place. So I'm going to do my corner as usual, exactly the same as I have before. And we'll do one more side so that we can see what a complete side looks like. So that's another one in there. It's hard to count when you're talking. Okay, so let's do our side again. Do our first stitch as normal. I've come out a bit now. It's getting bigger. I think I don't need to be zoomed quite so much. It gets a little difficult to see. There we go. So we're going to yarn round twice. We're going to drop down to this one. Go around that stitch. Yarn over, pull it up and complete it by going through 2, 2 and 2. Complete our cluster of 3. On to the next one. Always going around the center of our 3. We'll just get this corner done and we'll have a look at it, making sure I'm in the corner this time. Pull out even more yarn. I always find that these spike stitches, they do take a lot of yarn. I guess because you are dropping down, but it seems odd to me that you use more yarn. There we go. Right. So there we are. You can see it's more puckering than it was. Let's get those tails under so they don't confuse. But you can see why you have to pull up those sides, because it does kind of pull in. But there we go. That's how it's looking now. I love it. I really do. It's got a special kind of look. It feathers, if you know what I mean. It feathers it out. So I'm going to carry on going all the way around, and I'll catch up with you when we get back to this half a corner. Okay, so I've got all the way to the end. Oops. And I've just got to finish off my 3 in here. I've got enough yarn, I cut it off. Oh yep, I do. And then I now just need to go into here and bring in my new colour, which I'm having trouble seeing, so bear with me a second. I've got my hook in, bring in my new colour, just snip this off. It's a bit big, move it out of the way. I feel a sneeze coming on, so I do, if I just suddenly go, you'll know where I've gone. Bear with me. That was a loud one. Good job I paused it, guys. It would have blown you away. So anyway, bringing in my new colour, well, my white. I'm going to turn it over. Let's snip these off and get rid of them. They're in the way and untidy, and they've been worked over. It's not like, you know, I'm actually know what I'm doing with this. If I'm going to make it into anything or not. So I'm just going to tie off my colour, bring in my new, as I did before. Pull out some yarn before we go, because I haven't done that yet. There we go. There we are. So I've got my white. Let's get rid of the tails. They do get in the way a bit. Now, between my clusters of 3 in my gap, so there's 1, 2, 3, it's in here. I'm going to put my yarn and bring my white through and do my 2 chain, and then I'm going to finish off my corner. Now, before I go on, I want to show you what my coaster looked like. And here it is. So obviously I haven't sewn the end in, but what I did when I completed this row, I went through the back loop of the stitch only, so that it made this little ridge going along. You might need to block it. It is quite hexagon shaped. It's not too much of a dip. Wouldn't take a lot of putting right, but that would make a nice little coaster or a nice little hexagon for a blanket. But obviously we're carrying on. We're going another 2 rows of white, and that will end up the same as this one. Now, if I decided at that point to edge them all in white, for instance, I could make a blanket of all these different colours in one. So, or I could just have a colour theme. So I'm going to carry on going all the way around my side, exactly the same as I did before. So I'm doing my first stitch in there, yarning round twice, going to the centre of my previous row's corner and pulling it up. It's obviously in the centre of your row, centre of your side. That's where it is way more important to pull it up. So this is the outer edge, this is the middle, this is the one you really want to focus on when you're pulling them up. Round twice. This time we've got this post already. We're going to go round the back of this. Okay, we're going to grab our yarn and we're going to pull it up, because this is the where we're finding it going into a bow, if you like, bowing down, and then we're going to finish the 3rd stitch. So it's much easier to find where you're going into in that row. So we're going to go into this one. We've got another one along this side, yarn around twice, into the centre of our 3, which is there. Pull it up away, not as much as in the middle, and that will hopefully negate the dip in if you pull up more in the middle. Let's finish our corner. Almost there. Last one. I'm going to pull it out, and you can see by pulling up that one even more, you've got a nice straight edge. So that's the key to it, is to pull up here, but pull up way more in this one here, because obviously you're dipping down much further with this this one here, and that will hopefully stop that sagging a little bit. I don't think you're going to stop it completely because of the nature of spiking, even though we're doing a taller stitch, but by making this one pull up even more, you're going to even that row out even more than you have already. So I'm going to pause it. We've seen how, I'll do one more with you. I'll do one more side around that, because it is a slightly different side. So we'll do one more side like I did before, and then I'll pause it and meet you at the end. I didn't pull up very much on that one, but it's on this next one I really need to concentrate on pulling it up. So to round twice round the back of this one that's already raised, pull it up significantly and complete the stitch. One more in the side, and then we'll do our normal one here. Still going to pull up some because it is a spike after all. If you can get your hook round, pull up a little way. I need to pull out my yarn already. Obviously didn't pull out enough all that time. We'll complete the corner and we'll get the beauty of a completed side. No, I didn't pull out enough that time on. One more. And there we go. So now you can see how it's looking with a completed side. By pulling that one up, it's making a significant difference. So I'm going to carry on going all the way around. You can see it puckers. It's just the way the stitches work out, but it will even out, and you can block it, and when you attach it, it will change it. So I'm going to go all the way around, and I'll catch up with you when I get back to the start again. Okay, so I made it all the way around, and this is how it looks. It starts to pucker an awful lot more the bigger that it gets. So you've got options now with this design. You can either just keep going and keep going in the same colours, 2 rows of each. Obviously, I've only done one of this last row. Obviously, you will take quite a lot of yarn to get around the bigger it gets, but it would look really, really nice. Or you can make lots of smaller ones which have far less movement and puckering in them. You can make them as coasters, or you could leave it like this and just have one row like this at the edge and then join them, or you can carry on and make them with 2 rows and then perhaps a border or an invisible join. I've also got a tutorial for a really invisible join, and I'm not sure if I've got enough suggested videos at the end to put that there as well, but I'm going to call that a day with this particular seamless hexagon. I was going to say square then. How I always end off is to do 1 chain and then slip stitch into the top of my first, is that the chain? 1, 2, yeah, there we go. I just slip stitch into there like I would ending anything else off, and I snip off my yarn and pull it through. And the reason on my very last round I end with a chain is because then the gap is identical. But as you can see, it is seamless and it does kind of pucker a little bit, but I think as the weight as it grows, the weight would pull that out, or it's not insurmountable problem. You can block it and it would look okay. This one has another round and it's not that bad. You can see it's only a little bit that it needs pulling out, but I hope you like that. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.